we doing there, boys and girls? Good morning, good mornings. Hope we're well. Let's get this rocking and rolling, shall we? I've decided. Oh, my camera's in a weird spot. I've decided to enjoy Borderlands 4 off stream rather than doing it on stream. Mostly because it absolutely frazzles my computer when trying to run it on stream. It killed OBS yesterday, and for some reason, until I did like full restarts and the whole lot, it just wouldn't. OBS just didn't work again yesterday. I would probably have to tone down the settings quite heavily to play it on stream properly. And with its performance issues in the first place, with it being pretty intensive, I think I'll just, I'll enjoy it more off stream. It also is not going to gel well with most of you guys anyway, so I'll enjoy Borderlands off stream. We'll get back to our usual business today. It's reset day. I've been up since like flipping the crack of dawn this morning, so unfortunately I have already done a few bits and pieces. I've opened my vault. My vault was dead as a dodo. Absolutely nothing in the vault. We took out the tokens and got a gem socket. It's time to relist some auctions. I was meant to relist auctions yesterday, but didn't get around to it. So it's back to the auction houses today. You two relax. We don't want all of this woofing again today either. Right. Invite. Let's get auctions listed first, and then we might do some rare killing and bits and pieces as well. Auctions on reset day are better. Well, there's a good chance that people are paying attention. No barking. Nips was in her bed with the stick again. Deja vu, you know. Absolute deja vu. I was doing a bit of a tidy up, a bit of a clean out the other day as well on these tunes. Collating everything that's not sold into the war bank. So we might have to do some redistribution as well. Alma Lauma, stop it. Oh, wait. Borderlands for me was turn the tab on mute and go do something else. No, I know. I'm very aware. I know when we. Go back in. When we play other games, I'm fully aware that it's not going to appeal to everybody, and so hence why, you know, if you mute the stream or choose to come back another day, that's absolutely fine. I get it. I get it. Let's get a sniper on the go here. Might as well see if there's any goodies to buy. Do I do a sniper scan first? Let's do a little sniper scan on each of these realms as well. Why not? Why not? Why not? Can't see any alpha. It's got to be soon. It's got to be soon. I still don't know exactly when, but it can't be far off at this point, really. Can't be far off at all. Doesn't mean I mind you playing it, though. You exploring is how some of us find other stuff to play. Cough, cough, satisfactory. Yeah, exactly. This is it. Like, I'm not overly shy about playing other games on stream because, once again, yes, I am aware that sometimes it, you know, shows somebody something that I mean, why do you think streamers get paid an awful lot of money to play these games on stream, you know? It's for exactly that reason. Exactly that reason. Pristine glow bear pelt of the fire flash. This was from the expansion where pristine stuff existed, wasn't it? Which means it has a slightly different item ID, but is in essence the exact same appearance. So I think I'll ignore that one. Little leftovers. Don't mind cheap pets. 3 of them though. Why is the 3 of them all of a sudden? Who's little leftovers and why is the 3 of him on the cheap? $197 across the EU. Snowballing in price since January 2025. Okay. Quantity doesn't really seem to have changed all that much though. But at 20k a piece, they're relatively competitively priced. Alright, sure. Turn those around for a bit of a profit, I'm sure. Oh my god, this realm's got like 6,000 gold. This realm could do with selling something. Crushed Charger? Kazalgar Blacksmithing for 1,200 gold. Why is it not finding it? There it is. Auctioning, go. Had to be in the office for a couple of days. Regional managers all over the globe visiting. Oh dear. Free food, free drinks, fancy restaurants, etc. But all I could think was I didn't post my auctions because of this. Priorities, right? Get those priorities in order. Borrowing rapidity for 5k. That's an absolute fucking steal. That is an absolute fucking steal. I genuinely think that's one of the last enchants I need on my enchanter as well. I might not even resell that. That might not get resold. That might actually get sent to somewhere that it's needed. That for 5k is an absolute steal. $700k for these mounts now. 2 of them. Holy, what happened to those? Oh, damn. That is flip level money. That's flip level money. I haven't checked the price on these things, but that's flip level money. 690? Woo! People are really desperately trying to sell these now, aren't they? 877,000 is the regional sale average on them. That's come down a little bit. 700k is mighty cheap, though. $700k. There's 225 of them across the EU realms now. This is an interesting graph, isn't it? Look, the price steadily in decline whilst the quantity of them steadily growing. Goes to show people are still farming them, but there's not a distinct point where like interest in either farming them or interest in people buying them has changed. But really? But hang on. Yeah, look, the going rate for these is like 700k now. Damn. I didn't realize so many of these had hit the market. I wonder if this is... I might need to pay a little bit more attention to what's going on with those. We might need to have a little looky what's going on in a bit more detail. I need to get that enchant to the right character now. Let me do some auction house shenanigans. You need to log out. What was that noise? What have you... No. What have you dog? Hang on, please hold. Okay. You gotta love it when the doggo decides that she's gonna nom the bottom of your chair and somehow gets a washer and a little clip from somewhere. And I cannot for the life of me see where she got those from. Emma. Your bed. Dick. Not under the wheels. So, life of having a puppy, holy. Right, log you out.
The cartels are always hiring
Log you out.
to pick up odd jobs.
Let's give you warband access. Oh, I have no idea. I'm not going to look now. I'll figure it out later. You've got warband access now. So you now put that recipe in the warbank. And then I'm going to grab that on my enchanter. That's a video you don't want to see, is a gas lift exploding through the base of your chair. Yeah, rather not. Enough streams today. Yeah, let's not have that be a thing. I'll figure it out later. It'd be a good excuse to get a new chair anyway. I didn't actually check if I needed this recipe, but I'm 99% sure it's the last enchanting recipe I need. Borrowing that one. Not collected. There we go. Knew I needed that. Oh, okay. I do still need a few more, but it was the one that was going to be expensive. Lethal Glamour Ethereal. We still need to get Maniforged Vandals to 8. That's going to happen soon, isn't it? Chant of Winged Grace drops from the Severed Thread Pact. I need to figure that out. Yeah, this is the one that was going to be expensive. 5k for this is an absolute fucking steal, you know. Yoink. It's not a useful enchant, mind. It's not a useful enchant, but by proxy, the fact that it's so flipping expensive, I can understand why a lot of people don't have it. Okay. Right, now get back the right characters. I had to do that right here, right now, otherwise I'd have completely forgot. Undeniably, that would have been a really nice flip. 5k to 100k, easy money. But you know, if you find a good deal like that, you might as well take advantage of it yourself. You could argue that that recipe just cost me 95,000 gold still because of potential lost earnings by not flipping it, but right. Back to square one. Let's try again, shall we? Try again. Auctioning, go. Auctioning, go. Is that potential loss of earnings deductible? It would be nice, wouldn't it? I already have enough trouble trying to explain to the taxman what the fuck it is I do anyway. But I do agree it would be nice.
Let's make sweet, sweet profit together.
Alive with a 41. Welcome in. Good morning. Another one. Another one. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Thank you. Hope you're doing well. I think I checked those other realms for flips. There was only that one last realm to check if I didn't. We'll assume I checked it. Might not bother killing rares this morning. Done plenty of rare killing the last few days. I've actually got 25 Mechanica lying out. Well, 25, 26, 27, 28. I'm not even doing a great job of shipping the Mechanicas to the right places. Interestingly, I'm very tempted to just not bother transferring the Mechanicas places now. Let them just mount up, or rack up, I should say, and just spend them on pets whenever I get 5 on each realm. Alternatively, I might just sit on them for a while. I might just bank them until everybody kind of gives up with the farm. People are still clearly quite actively farming it because the prices are still good, but maybe a new expansion sort of level distraction will take people's focus off it. In theory. Definitely feeling another coffee today, though. It's been a long morning. The OG Longboy is cool to use, but he doesn't have a mailbox. Being standing here does actually kind of rely on me using the pay-to-win boy, because his mailbox is being utilized. We sell here 3,000 gold, something. Ombre. Pet. Doing quite well with pet sales recently. Whoa, that's not the right way. Nat Pagel's Guide to Extreme Angling. I don't know why I had that in the first place. I've definitely let those go out too cheap. Whoops. Onyxia scale cloak. Somebody, somewhere, and I can't quite work out why this is, somebody has gone along and hoovered up all of the Onyxia scale cloaks, by the way. I've seen these being, or I don't know whether these are being used for something. There is a reason to buy this, but I have a sneaky suspicion somebody's tried to like reset the market on the price of these, because I've sold far too many of them in the last few days. But it's a crafted piece, I think. So I'm not sure what the logic is there. Onyxia scale cloak. Really not sure what's going on with these recently. But both the price has been spiked and the supply and the quantity of them is also spiked. Which I can't quite work out why. The Onyxia back is used for the achieve in the Dragonflight underground zone. It's for an achieve, yeah. Western Dragonflight needs it. There's also something else I can't quite figure out why it's happening. I have seen an awful lot of interest in Dragonflight content again, all of a sudden. And I don't know why. Both, like, I've seen interest in my old Dragonflight cheat sheet. I've seen interest in my old Dragonflight profession leveling guides. I've seen a significant increase to the views on my Dragonflight videos. And it's all happened very recently. And this is also another indication that there's a lot of interest in Dragonflight again right now. And I wonder if it's got something like, I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why. Is this all the classic people coming? But are people just playing? I don't know why. Profession catch up for the housing prep? Maybe. Need one to open the treasure chest in the caverns. Yeah, I genuinely don't know what the reason is behind it, but I've seen a big amount of interest in Dragonflight stuff. Could be people who did not get the new profession system who are going back now to complete it. Yeah, but why is everybody doing it at the same time? This is the thing. This is what I can't get my head around. I don't know why. Why would they all be flooding to it now? I'm sure there's another good reason. Maybe potentially, like, I wonder just this whole, the end of expansion lull, since there's not much going on in the War Within right now. I'm thinking more along the lines of that you can play through Dragonflight content. You don't need to own the War Within. You don't need to have bought the expansion. You just need a subscription, right? Can't you play up until... With just a subscription, you can... With just a subscription right now, without buying any of the expansion packs, your Dragonflight is your expansion, isn't it? And with all of the private servers getting slapped recently, I have a suspicion that there's an awful lot of people that have flooded back to WoW recently who haven't bought anything more than a subscription and are just playing, waiting to see what Midnight's going to have. I'm almost, like, I know housing is coming around the corner, but I'm almost convinced that there's people who have not played for a long time that have come back. they haven't pre-bought, they certainly haven't bought The War Within. They haven't pre-purchased Midnight, but they've got their subscription to either play Classic or to play Retail, and Dragonflight is the limit right now if you've just got a sub. So I think there's probably something in that. That's the only thing that I can think is like a big significant thing that would cause a huge amount of people to do all of the same thing at the same time, you know? Cheap Outland recipe. Magical Crawdad. Flip those. I don't want some random ass opal ring. Nothing going on there. That's my theory, at least, anyway. Somebody might have released a before housing do this, where they mention profession completion. Not sure. Not sure. I just find it very strange that I'm seeing a lot of people doing Dragonflight content right now. From all different angles. And it gives me the impression that Dragonflight is in, you know, the forefront of people's attention somewhere. I need to go sign a contract, otherwise this thing's going to keep beeping at me to go do it. Venture companies probably there. I don't need anything from the Dark Fuse. I don't need Bilgewater. Anybody but Bilgewater, basically. Anybody but Bilgewater.
Welcome to the best place ever.
Anybody but Bilgewater. Steamweedle then.
Watch your back.
Good stuff.
Still need the
Don't let 'em
Paragon
work
mount
you
from them.
overtime.
Not that I'm doing a lot on a weekly basis to work towards them, but just to make sure that if I do anything, it goes towards something that might be useful. How are we doing, Goldson? Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Where is the puppy right now? Oh, the puppy's over that way. You spotted Big Puppy. With the gear we now have, people are able to do mythic content solo in most areas. Oh, in terms of going back to like past expansion stuff, maybe. Yeah, there's lots of reasons it could be, but I just find it kind of interesting how we've seen, or I've noticed an uptick in the amount of people that care about Dragonflight right now. It just seems such an oddity. For there to be a noticeable increase in market trends for Dragonflight stuff. It's kind of, I think it's got to be, like I said, I attribute it most to a big influx of players coming back who maybe have not bought the latest expansion but are playing again for whatever reason. Oh, hello. What do we sell here? 150k. What do we think this is? 150,000 gold. It's a fire-blessed greatsword of the Harmonious. Yeah, boy. And dark iron baby booties. Somebody went on a MOG spending spree. Should we see what those items are? What they look like? Let me loot everything else from the mailbox real quick. Love a good MOG spending spree, yeah. Right. 2 different people, actually. No, can I not see the item? These don't act as like proper links. Fire Blessed Greatsword. Doesn't look overly fancy to me. It is a unique appearance though, which could be why. Question is did I buy that then? Did I buy that to flip it? If I did, I didn't buy it here. Where did we buy this then? And more importantly, how much did we pay for it? I do vaguely remember buying that. Oh, I wonder if these commas are... Not commas, quotation marks. I bought 2 of them a couple of months ago for 10k a piece. That'll do. Means I've still got another one lying about somewhere. Take those. And Dark Iron Baby Booties. I purchased one for about 2,000 gold and we just sold it for 27. Yoink! Love that. That's a good start. That's a reasonable start to the day. This is why I can't flip stuff. TSM's always forgetting how much I paid for it. Yeah, this is why my resale is disconnected from my purchase, if that makes sense. I don't use the same price source. When I'm buying stuff, I'm mostly looking at DB region sale averages. I want to see what other people have paid for this on average to help me decide whether I should buy something or not. But when I sell it based upon region market prices. This way, 9 times out of 10, it's a nice healthy margin when we sell it. It does mean, though, that quite many things might end up being listed at overpriced and then don't sell, but the profit we make on the stuff we do sell makes up for that, really. When do you think we'll get back our ability to see sales on the auction house in the last hour? I'm not sure we will. I'm pretty convinced it's a deliberate change by Blizzard. I think they're trying to optimize the auction house for midnight launch so that it doesn't crash and burn again. And one of the points of optimization, I think, is to nuke the monster of a database that must exist that holds all of the sold auction house info. Because realistically, do you need to see it? Is it really that vitally important to the operation of the auction house? I'd say not really. So I'm relatively sure that we won't get that back. Now, if they can get it so that, if they can make it so that all auctions return to the mailbox a bit faster than 60 minutes, I would definitely like that. The only frustration for me with it more than anything else is how it, it cannot show in your list. It, in essence, becomes invisible until it lands in your mailbox. And because it can still take an hour for it to land in your mailbox, that can be, you're really aggressively focusing on what's selling. I can see why it would be useful information to have, but I would take an auction house that doesn't crash and burn at the beginning of an expansion for that. That's a sacrifice I'd be willing to make. Sell about 50 items. I really like to know what to recraft. Just craft, like, more. Are you crafting only one of everything and then just instantly recrafting something that sells? That seems like a very inefficient way to do crafting, full stop. I would maybe suggest just crafting, like, if you know you can sell 10 in an hour, just craft 10 ahead of time. Save yourself the effort. TSM's restock feature is kind of it's kind of a bit old now. Even before Dragonflight launched, the guys over at TSM were actually working for quite a while on a complete overhaul for their inventory management system. But Dragonflight turned up and they scrapped the idea. Because obviously Dragonflight brought a bunch more important things to the table. Such as, you know, how to even remotely craft anything again. So the restock feature kind of got sidelined. So it's good for old stuff, but current expansion stuff, I think it really struggles these days. This account number 4 seems to be getting all the sales today. Shredder's Shredder of the Peerless, Draconic Combat, Resilient Chess Piece. I can't believe I sold that for 1,000 gold. That's too low. Oh well. Like I said, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but there's a good chance I bought that recipe for like 75 gold. It's fine. But it lists possible items to craft as like 200 items, and my bag space can only handle like 130. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, part of crafting at scale is inventory management. I can't really give you any more advice on that, unfortunately, but you can always use your war bank. You can put stuff in the bank. You can have your pre-crafted stuff ready to go. It just concerned me that you were using the sales list in order to determine what to recraft. That just seems like a really inefficient way of doing it for me. Mostly because nowadays, when you are selling, you want to focus on selling. You don't want to be also crafting. There are such small windows of opportunity to make good profit these days when selling stuff that you'd be better off crafting 20 or 30, 40, 50, however many of something. You'd be better off crafting bulk ahead of time so that your stock is ready. And then when it's profitable to sell it, focus on selling it and just cancel your, you know, this is why cancel scanning is a thing, right? Focus on selling the stock you've already crafted. If you're waiting till something sells to craft another one, that seems like double the amount of time and effort spent. I would strongly advise trying to figure out a better solution than that. Legion stuff is turning up again, which is quite funny. And there are a bunch of vendor materials that go into making these. I can't even remember. I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of vendor materials that go into making those. What, another Living Shoulders recipe? Yeah, it's an easy flip, isn't it? A world drop leatherworking recipe and 4 goggle recipes from Sunwell in a single lockout last night. Jesus. Good effort. How do you keep track of what you've paid for the crafting in that case? Do you keep spreadsheets of X of Y crafted for Z? No. I mean, you can do that, but you're better off looking at valuing something based upon what it is going to cost you to craft it again in the future, not what you paid for it. There's two different ways you can look at this. The game, you got to remember, you got to play the game as the game is presented to you, right? So the game doesn't track items in the game, crafted or not. They have an item ID, which tells you what that item actually is, but there is no specific unique identifier for any specific item. This is why you can never actually truly know if you craft something, what it costs you to craft it. You can only ever, at best, especially if you're crafting multiple of them, you can only ever work to an average. So what you're actually best off doing, more than anything else these days, is not worrying too much about what it costs you to craft something, but sell it based upon what it will cost you to recraft that thing. That's a number you can more carefully control, and it is a number that changes. This means your prerogative as a crafter is making sure that you get your materials at the cheapest possible price. And if you do that, and your profession's in good order, and you also make sure that you're crafting in scale enough that you make enough of that thing to work towards that average. When it comes to posting it, you should probably, if you are going to use the crafting cost, you should post it probably based upon what it costs you to recraft that thing again. Because that should be a closer representation to what the market value is for an item. So it doesn't matter if you do a good job and you buy your materials for the sum cost of 100 gold at some point during the week, but then on a Wednesday when the price is reset on both materials and the crafted goods, you might be able to sell that thing for 150 gold. You should consider your crafting cost, if the materials have risen in price, to be 150 gold. Because that's what it's going to cost you to make that thing again if somebody buys it from you. Trying to use spreadsheets and stuff to keep track of exactly what something cost you historically to craft just gets overly complicated very, very quickly. Because like I said, there's no way to actually track that effectively in game. If every single crafted item had its own unique ID, then you could probably start tracking exactly what it cost you on a per item basis to craft things. But that's not possible, so you can only play the game. You can only play the game that we have. Or at least that's the way I suggest players look at it. Because that mindset also very quickly teaches you the value of making sure you get your materials at the cheapest price. Because you don't have that like security blanket, if that makes sense, of knowing what it cost you to craft something. You also could have flipped the match. You got cheap too, opportunity cost and all that. Well, opportunity cost is a strong argument, but because there isn't an undo button on crafted goods, once a crafted good is made, there's no way to uncraft it. So the opportunity cost there doesn't really apply. If you have crafted something, and you probably should pre-craft things ahead of time, the truth is that the sum of the materials that goes into crafting that item is irrelevant, but people still care about it because they want to make sure that they make profit. You're right, yes, if you hadn't pre-crafted, you might actually have been better off just selling the materials back out, but once you've already crafted something, you don't get that option. How do you keep track of how far a price falls then? I'm not sure I fully understand the question. Just don't craft until you get your mats cheap enough. Yeah, this is often one of the things that you see. This is why you should probably not craft anything on a day like today. Because the materials have been bumped up in price and have been reset. Certain markets would be bumped up and reset in price. This is why day trading crafting professions is always risky, and hence why I sort of suggest either pre-crafting a lot at a cheaper point during the week, or even if you don't craft anything, at least focus on getting your materials as cheap as possible during the week. You can theoretically then craft on a day like today if you have already bought your materials a few days prior, but also don't be then afraid to just resell the materials if they are worth more than... Because if you're not adding any value to those materials by crafting with them, then don't bother. Just resell the mats. But all of this all of this sort of, you know, theory is so much more important these days than it ever used to be, mostly because margins are so much tighter on anything you're crafting these days. When we used to have like 20%, 30% plus margin on basically anything you crafted, you didn't have to worry about all of this. But this is just how the game progresses and how it develops over time. It's now way more important to understand these concepts, because not paying attention to this sort of stuff basically costs you gold. If you buy a bunch of materials today and craft a bunch of stuff to sell it today, but then don't sell it today because there's so much competition in selling stuff today, prices then will drop on Thursday and drop on Friday, and then you feel like shit, now I'm taking a loss, let me just cut my losses and sell it at a loss. And people do that a couple of times and they're like, fuck this, I'm done, like I'm out. And especially for anything posted on the region-wide auction house, if you're not doing this, you can bet your ass there's somebody else out there that is doing exactly this, and they're taking that small margin. This is why crafting and selling commodities is so much more competitive than it ever used to be. Push up your margin. Sounds like you're crafting stuff with too low margins to bother. Yeah, I mean, this is why I do so little crafting these days, because I'm not willing to fight for single-digit profit margins anymore. I'm just not. Like, there's many other ways that I'm finding, you know, I can farm Mechanicas and sell pets and mounts. I can do flipping across each and every realm. There's many other things I can do to make gold. Wrestling over single-digit profit margins is a lot of effort, and I most of the time can't be bothered. Because it does require you to pay close attention to the market that you're in pretty much 7 days a week to be able to make 10% profit if you're lucky. And as an expansion goes on, the further an expansion goes on, the tighter those margins become, because the prices of everything are pushed down as well. So it's yeah, it's why concentration alts have been a huge deal this expansion, because people just don't want to be dealing with all of this kind of like crazy level of optimization with the crafting professions. Because the reality now, you probably, if you want to make profit with crafting on a regular basis, you need to be laser focused on the price of your materials 7 days a week. You need to understand exactly what day of the week you can buy your materials. What is the variance in the price of the materials from one day to another. You need to be putting a lot of effort in to buy them at the absolute rock bottom prices. You then need to carefully consider how much of a thing you might want to pre-craft so that when a market does go boom, you can take advantage of it by quickly selling a lot of pre-crafted stuff, not wasting that opportunity by quickly running around, oh, now I need to log on to this carrot to craft a bunch of stuff. By the time you've done that, the market reset's already gone. You thirdly then need to be there at the right time when that market reset happens to take advantage of it in the first place. It's all very, very complicated these days to get tiny, tiny amounts of gold. Which is why it's just a lot of hard work that I mostly can't be bothered with outside of the first expansion, first patch these days. I'd rather find other ways to do stuff. Switch most of my material crafting to like 30 minutes of Dark Flame Cleft in the morning instead. More gold and less auction house PvP. Yeah, I mean, spamming that dungeon, you can bang out, what is it, like 50 runs or something? 50 runs of a dungeon on a Taylor scribe. Get a bunch of cloth, throw that up on the auction house, don't worry about it, kind of thing. It's ultimately why farmers always win eventually, because farming's just, there's way less strategy to it. But your ceiling for opportunity with farming is limited by how much of it you do. Same old story. Nobody ever gets really, really wealthy in this game without doing some sort of auction house play, though. And crafting is very much auction house play these days. I try and do cooking ones now and then, but I only ever seem to sell less than half what I craft for the profitable price in Craft Sim. And the rest of the next 3 weeks, those items are like a third of what they should be for me to make a profit. Yeah, this is the thing. This is the thing. Crafting is a game of min-maxing, and it's difficult, and it's very easy to lose. Very, very easy to get it 99% right, but that 1% that you don't get right costs you all your profit. I entirely understand why many people stick to more sort of time-consuming methods of gold making, such as farming or concentration builds or something along those lines. Because there's a direct correlation with those. You put X amount of time in, you get Y amount of gold out, and it's just easy. Considering that most of crafting is the same as farming in disguise now, I honestly considered trying some real farming from time to time. If you're not, to build on the strategy a little bit for crafting, you also mostly need to be vertically integrated to its entirety. Meaning you need to be taking ore, you need to be prospecting that ore, you need to be, let's say you want to do alchemy, for example. Let's assume you want to do alchemy. you still need a fully set up prospecting jewel crafter that can make you your vials just to do alchemy effectively these days. Because you might need quality 2, you might need quality 3 vials. With that being the case, you also simultaneously need a jewel crafter that is fully set up in prospecting, one that can then turn half of the materials that you get from prospecting into the vials that you need for your alchemy. The only way that that works effectively, though, is if that jewel crafter is also fully set up to utilize the rest of the materials that comes from prospecting, e.g. cutting and selling the gems. Your alchemy then needs to be fully set up as well to then craft the potions. You then need to craft the right potions at the right time. You also need to get the herbs at the cheapest price. There's just lots to it. Lots to it, and that's just one example. And truly, there is no fix to this now that we have the region-wide auction house. Why did I not phase properly? What's going on here? So this is giving me real big questions to how I approach flipping Shadowlands legendaries, man. This is giving me really big questions to how I approach Midnight. Because I've got 2 full expansions of experience in this now. Knowing full well that outside of Season 1, crafting is not impossible, but most likely to be too much like hard work for me. Even as somebody that gets the luxury of playing this game an awful lot. So I need to start considering, do I change the focus on my content even? I mean, realistically, I stream what I do in game and I make video content on stuff that I think that can help others as well. So if I'm not proactively doing all that much crafting, I'm not sure just how useful it is teaching everybody else how to do crafting, you know what I mean? It's weird. Don't know if I'm calling it for the expansion or not. 45 million-ish this season, and profit is very low now. I mean, that's an astronomical amount of gold, fair play. What do you think for the rank quality rework in Midnight? Well, we don't know what it actually is yet. Like, until we like, you're best off just pretending that you don't know anything yet, because that's actually as much as we know. Nothing. We know nothing yet. Once we get an alpha, once we get a beta, once we can start poking around, once we can start seeing this sort of stuff, we can pay closer attention to it. But it's a waste of brain energy right now because it doesn't mean anything. For 10 gold, we'll risk it. What's a black feather nester? It's arguably too cheap. Probably not going to see much return on that, but bought 30 to 40 million of leathers. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's where your profit came from then. Did you run it all through the alchemy mill, then prospect all of the ore and, you know, do all of the above? Imagine. Full process took weeks. Yeah, I did I don't know, what did I buy? I think I bought like 7 or 8 million gold worth of leather. Ran it through the alchemy mill. Turned a profit on it, but not much more than like maybe 10%. Because I didn't do the full process. I just span it through alchemy. And then in turn ended up selling a lot of it before I arguably should have done. But it got to the point where I was like, I either take my 10% profit now, or I spend twice as much time processing the rest of it and hope that the prices go up. So I took my 10%. And then Blasphemites went boom like 4 days later. So I was like, fuck. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Misjudged the timing a little bit this season. But I also invested in the leather late, so I didn't get huge return. I think my average buy price on the leather was about 7 gold. Maybe I'll just do the whole first week on whatever busted group farm appears instead of complaining about it. Set myself up for the whole expansion. If you remember at the beginning of the War Within, there was that busted cloth farm that everybody was doing. And it tanked the price of cloth down to like 5 gold a piece or something. And I hoovered up like 250,000 pieces of cloth. Not gold worth, but actual pieces of cloth. And then later sold them all for about 20 gold a piece. I made probably the best part of a gold cap at the beginning of expansion off that farm. But not by actually farming it, by just buying up huge quantities of cloth. Knowing full well that that was never going to last for long. In fact, it wasn't the cloth, it was the bolts. Because tailors were able to farm up the bolts as well. Bolts were being sold at the same price as cloth. And I was like, well, it takes 5 pieces of cloth to make a bolt. This is not sustainable. Made out like a bandit on that one. That was a nice big early win for me. So sometimes the absolutely cracked, broken OP farms, you don't even need to do the farming to take advantage of them. Knowing it exists and understanding the rest of the landscape can help you make these buy decisions occasionally. Remix is down, no new build. I guess they do not do any new tests. We're only 3 weeks away after all. I wouldn't be surprised if that's it for remix testing now. Giving everybody 999 cheat mode stats to play with for a week muddied the negative feedback from the early phases and will leave a positive spin out there. The crazy thing is, like, people who... I saw so many people last week saying, like, Remix is saved. Remix is... They've fixed Remix. I'm like, they gave you a cheat mode. It's like, you know, they gave you a God mode button. We're not going to have a God mode button when the game comes out. Yeah, if you give everybody 999 stats, of course they're going to one-shot everything. Most people didn't even realize that they were physically invincible. after 200 ranks in unlimited, on the unlimited thing, after 200 ranks, you were literally you took no damage. You could stand there all day, the hardest boss in the world, pounding you. You took no damage. Right? And then people were reporting on that as if they've fixed Remix. You ain't never going to get that powerful when it goes live. Not to mention the 50 million billion, like, you did even the slightest bit of maths on that, you'd realize that it was you're never gonna get that powerful. And if you do get that powerful, it'll only be after 400 hours of grinding the damn thing. Maybe they'll activate God mode for like the last week of the remix or something, but like, it was crazy to see the people absolutely gushing over, oh, it's saved, it feels so good now, we're finally powerful, and not paying the slightest bit of attention to why or what the reality of that's actually going to be like when the game goes live. Null tent recipe? Go on then. Whoa! What realm is this? Oh, Argent Dawn. Oh, I never have enough gold on Argent Dawn. End up buying shit on this flipping almost all the time. Random cosmetic. How many of these are there? Oh my god, where did these come from? Oh, these are clearly a vendor, or they're crafted or something, aren't they? Too expensive. Too expensive, but we will flip it. I deliberately didn't put more than 20 ranks in that end trait. I was still able to easily solo mythic dungeons, but 740 item level helped, of course. Still going to be a pain to get there on live, though. Yeah, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. People completely ignored what the journey would be to get there. But for some people, knowing that it is possible is all they cared for. And that to me showed me that a lot of people don't really use the PTR to test things properly. They don't even, because they're running around in max gear, soloing raids isn't useful. But understanding what it takes to get anywhere near that power level would have been much more useful. I tried to math this out a little bit. I did a little bit of testing in Mythic Plus to try and determine what item level drops at what key levels. I think if you can do plus 10s in the first week, you'll get a big leapfrog to your early gearing journey. You'll skip a big chunk of the early grind when you're also at your weakest. So annoyingly, doing a whole bunch of Mythic Plus in the first week, pushing as high as you can in Mythic Plus might actually be worthwhile doing. Argent Dawn's a strange realm. Prices are all over the place. Those RP players and transmog farmers. Yeah, it's a real big transmog server. Fact is that people don't know that you need 36 stacks of the infinite knowledge to be able to farm the infinite power as well. And the stacks can't be earned in the first phase. Yeah, the absolute tippity top is about 25 stacks of that, isn't it, in the first phase? But 12 ranks of that come from gaining the power in the first place. So there is a bit of a snowball effect on that. You need to earn to get just 12, if I remember right, 12 ranks of it come from earning your first 5 million infinite power. But your first character will probably ding level 80 with about 100,000
Is that your
power.
wallet? Or are you just glad to see me?
So you need
Both, I hope.
50 times that quantity to get the full 12 ranks of infinite knowledge. Then you also need to be simultaneously farming up every other source of infinite knowledge, also known as lore mastering the entire continent. This is the thing. Very few people paid any attention whatsoever to what it actually might take to get to the point where you can even start soloing a dungeon. Because you are not soloing anything in Remix until you're at least 630 item level gear, unless you're a tank. If you go tank spec, prop paladins will probably be soloing things early because they're a tank, right? They just naturally take less damage. But DPS classes are going to have to push their gear 10, 15 item levels higher, which is no easy task, honestly. Yufma, thank you very much for the tier 1, by the way. I wasn't ignoring it. I was just getting my TED talk out of the way. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Sol was talking about needing 5 million of something, and I was just thinking, what do these numbers mean? How hard is the 5 million of a thing? Yeah, exactly. This is the thing that I really wish people focused more on. The journey of how to get to that power, rather than running around in 740 gear, running around with 999 infinite power traits, and then going, yeah, this feels cool. This is fun. Doesn't matter. You've got 200 hours of grinding to get to the fun. You should be... And I tried to figure out where the sort of cutting point is. Where is the tipping point? Where was the tipping point for players to be able to start, like, not relying on group content to be able to start soloing stuff? And honestly, it was about 630 item level. You can just about maybe start plodding your way through normal dungeons, soloing them at about 630 item level. But just like how gear works in retail, just how gear worked in MOP Remix, it's not a linear power scale. It's an exponential power scale. So you're going to be absolute weak source for ages, and it's also going to be the biggest grind whilst you are also simultaneously your weakest. And I don't think people are quite prepared for just how long it could potentially take. Unless they rebalance Mythic Plus to give you easier gear via Mythic Plus. But like I said, I'm not sure we'll get a remix test. I mean, if they drop another build, we'll give it another go, but I don't see what more info Blizzard needs from the testing, honestly. They kind of band-aid fixed the early negative feedback by just giving people God mode for a week. Oh, what is it with this? What is it with account 4? All the big sales on these realms. Grim Sabatons of the Aurora. 130,000 gold. Yes, please. Yes, please. Oh, yeah, boy. Bought for 5k, sold for 130. We've actually got a couple of extra sets of those as well, haven't we? Look. The Aurora ones, though. Bought for 5, sold for 130. Yoink. How much bronze did you farm in your initial playthrough? Dinging level 80, I think I dinged level 80 with about 120,000 bronze. Bronze farming's probably not going to be that complicated, though, because you get bronze for doing anything, and the only thing you spend it on is those cosmetics. And there is so much gameplay that's going to be needed to gear up your character. The bronze will just come accidentally. I'm pretty convinced there'll be, for those people, and this is where Remix is going to feel different, because there isn't that choice now. Because you don't have to choose, do I spend this bronze on power-ups or do I spend this bronze on gearing? You are going to find more people will passively get the bronze whilst playing the game mode. But the curse of that is that those collectors out there that don't enjoy the game mode now have double, if not triple, the grind ahead of them to collect everything. Because the only way you get the bronze at the higher quantities is by being already super duper mega geared, and that only happens by you playing it a lot. So it's kind of a kiss curse situation. At least in Mop Remix, people could potter along and do, they didn't feel the need to push their character to max gear. They could still do bits and pieces here and there and gather up a reasonable amount of bronze. And there was the daily quests that gave you a big chunk of bronze really easily. Most collectors, even without fully gearing out a character, were able to get the bronze they needed in Mop Remix without too much stress. This time round, though, players are going to need to focus on gearing up and playing the gameplay loop as Blizzard designs it in order to come anywhere near the total needed of bronze. I just really hope the grind for gear is not that grindy. Because my concern throughout all of it was based heavily on the fact that grinding out infinite power, grinding out item level, the grind it's not an interesting grind. What's the primary gameplay loop for Remix? Well, you fundamentally need to be doing anything that gives you either, you can do it in one of two ways. You can either live in Mythic Plus. You can choose to just live in Mythic Plus. And every time you do a Mythic Plus dungeon, keyed dungeon, at the end of that dungeon, you'll get a bunch of infinite power. You'll get a piece of gear that will be an upgrade for you, assuming you're doing high enough keys, because the loot that you get is determined. It's deterministic loot. You'll also get some of the tokens, which once you get 10 of the tokens can be converted into an upgrade. So that's gameplay loop 1. Live in Mythic Plus. Live in Mythic Plus, continuously pushing keys with 4 other people, slowly but surely gearing your way up that way. It may not necessarily be the fastest, but people who live in Mythic Plus in retail will find a happy home over there doing exactly that. Your alternative is, and you can obviously mix and match a bit of this. Your alternative, if you're not willing to live in Mythic Plus and Remix all day long, your alternative is that you want to be doing your raids every single day, predominantly, because killing the raid boss killing raid bosses gives you fragmented mementos. When you collect 100 fragmented mementos, you get a big bump in infinite power, which will give you a nice little actual, power bump. But that's not going to matter all that much until you've got the gear. Gear comes from these things. Let me see if I can show you. That one. Gear is these are the things you're hunting for mostly, right? Motes of a broken time was what they were called in the last build. But in essence, it's a token you get for doing a wide variety of different activities, and once you've got 10 of them, you create an upgrade, and you'll get a 2 or 3 item level bump in a certain slot, and you just spiral your gear upwards until you're fully geared. The problem is, though, is farming these becomes incredibly boring because you don't have anything else to tinker with or to get excited about while you do it. You can get these by doing quests, and you get 1 to 2 of these per quest completion. So there's an entire expansion's worth of quests you can go out and do, but you're literally just counting a number going up, and when that number hits 10, you convert it to a piece of gear, but you're fundamentally going to have to find enjoyment in just doing the quests in the first place. No difference to playing through Legion in normal. At MOP, for example, you had the gems that you were collecting, and you would level up the gems if you remember. And you could also then slot in different gems to make your character feel slightly different. You could slot in all speed gems, or you could slot in all verse gems. You can work towards crit caps and all this sort of stuff. There was stuff to keep you interested whilst you were gearing up. You also had the thread system in MOP Remix, where you were excited every time you did something because there was the chance of getting threads, and some threads were more exciting than others. Some threads would give you main stats. Some threads would give you crits. Some threads would give you, something boring that you didn't care about. Maybe it gave you a bit of leech that wasn't as interesting, or it'd give you some avoidance that you weren't bothered about, or, hey, maybe it would just give you stamina and you didn't care at all. Legion, they've got rid of that as well. Legion basically is you don't care about threads. You just don't care about them at all. All they do is they give you a small amount of infinite power and a small amount of bronze, which means you 100% don't care about any threads that you get until you have 50,000 infinite power. So you just don't care about them. So there's that kind of slot machine feel of every time you do something, whether it be kill a boss or complete a quest or kill a mob out in the open world or kill a rare. You were getting threads thrown at you from every angle, which was just like dopamine hits all the time in MOP, which made the grind for the bronze more interesting. And when the journey is interesting, you don't mind how long it takes you to go on the journey. But when the journey is really boring, it makes the journey feel twice as long, which is where my concern lies for Legion Remix. That not only is the grind still there to upgrade your gear, I don't think the journey is as fun. It's like that stupid internet thing that's going around of people like just raw dogging plane flights. No phone, no in movies, just like staring into the abyss. Like, that's to many people how it's going to feel in Legion Remix, because you haven't got these other systems to complement the grind to make it more interesting. Which will force more people into just spamming Mythic Plus, which feels like a bit of a shame to me personally, but because it's a weak excuse for game design. We got dragon riding as a more interesting way to traverse the map in game, right? We you know, instead of just talking to an NPC and having it slowly automatically take you somewhere, which sure, it gives you an opportunity to go grab a drink or to go take a bathroom break or something, but if you haven't got anything else to do, you just have to sit there and watch the flight happen. Or you could use old school flying where you fly up, go across everything and go down. Same scenario, but you're just holding W this time. At least Dragonflight, Dragon Riding gave us a more interactive, gameplay orientated way of getting from A to B to make that travel feel more fun. So now you don't mind flying halfway across the map because, you know, it's slightly more interesting. Good gameplay, good game design keeps you entertained. Seems crazy to say, right? But the whole point of it is that it keeps you entertained. You can have a journey that you need to go on. You can have an end goal. But making that journey entertaining should be the highest priority. I don't understand what's wrong with the Mop Remix final form, that they felt needed to change it so much. It absolutely stinks of one person's vision, that one person leaving, and then somebody taking up somebody else's vision and trying to put their spin on it. Way too much of what I see in Blizzard is somebody clearly going out there to make a portfolio piece for their CV. Look at this system that I designed, regardless of whether it's good or bad or better or worse than what we've had before. It's somebody going out there to say, I designed this, I built this, look at how many people engaged with that, rather than the fun first focus. And I just feel that Legion Remix has not been sung from the same hymn sheet as Mop Remix. I don't even believe that. I mean, when you watch back, you can watch back the little interview they did. There doesn't seem to even, you know, they did not consider Remix to be like a blueprint. They somewhat frustratingly basically described Remix as a test bed for them to try new shit. Which grinds my gears really, because you don't, if you're creating anything, if you're designing something, why would you sacrifice something that's good and proven to test something that's unproven? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like if Ferrari, I think I've used this analogy before, but if Ferrari turned around and says, you know what, we're going to stop making supercars, and instead we're going to develop sandwich toasters. Like, you can develop sandwich toasters on the side if you really want to, but don't sacrifice the thing that's already proven to be good and work. That seems ludicrous to me. If they wanted to test Heroic World Tier, and if they wanted to test something else, then test it with something different. Don't break. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Oh my god. This account. Every server. What's going on? Blazing Cinder Crawler, Prismatic Soft Shell, Thimberig. Somebody's gone and bought some pets, look. What's the point of testing Heroic World Tier in Remix where all the power levels are whack anyway? Yeah. I mean, I didn't understand Heroic World Tier from the word go. Like, I understand Heroic World Tier as a gameplay mode in World of Warcraft, but it makes no sense in Remix. But this is the thing, right? My blueprint in my head for what Remix is this mode where we take an expansion, we super speed everything, we power people up really fast, and we let people go and nuke it with the primary goal of collecting all of the cosmetics and the pets and the mounts and all the goodies that were available from that expansion. That's the simple TLDR blueprint for me of a remix. Heroic World Tier just doesn't fit that blueprint. Why would you want to slow everything down? Why would you want to make everything harder? Like, I understand it as a concept, but it doesn't fit the blueprint of Remix. If they wanted to test Heroic World Tier, throw it on the PTR. Like, the Dark Moon Rabbits are good pet sellers. That's still too expensive. I also worry with the Dark Moon Rabbit that whenever the Dark Moon Fair turns up, that people get a bunch of them. Is Heroic World Tier in Lemix the same as the prey system that's coming in Midnight? I don't think it's the same, no, but it's clearly similar tech, right? They're clearly looking at, can we make like another step up in difficulty, and if so, what are the boundaries to which people find it acceptable? How much, they're probably trying to see just how much can they punch people in the face before people start complaining they're being punched in the face. Because the prey system apparently is going to have like 3 different difficulties. So it's not necessarily going to be a copy paste, but they're clearly using Heroic World to engage what people's interest is in a more difficult tier of world content. This is the thing for me. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me to test something like this in a game mode where the game mode, if you were to give me the elevator pitch of Remix, I certainly wouldn't be using the words extra challenge or more difficult in the elevator pitch. Like, the blueprint for Remix for me is the exact opposite of that. It's speeding everything up and making everything easier to blast through. But we'll see. We'll see. If we get another test phase, we can give it a go. But I actually am quite prepared for us to not see Remix now until it goes live. This account, to be fair, has so few items on it. Most of the realms have very, very little going on. I need to do a custom pass on just this account. Pad out some of these realms with a bit more stock. Right, let me grab a drink quickly, hang on. Don't run over a puppy. Right, let's now see if we can grab... Let's see if this realm in the bottom right-hand corner has a bunch of sales on it again. Water Strider's Silken Finery, 8k. Sold some in. Blingtron Circuit Design Tutorial. What the hell is that? Isn't that the toy? I think I've sold a few of those in the last few days as well, you know. Yeah. This is the Circuit Uncrossing game. Saw somebody doing I saw a TikTok of this the other day. Wasn't this from Dragonflight as well? Oh, this was added in Legion. Oh, this is clearly people going back and completing Legion stuff. Yeah. I saw those the other day. My personal opinion and feelings about Legion Remix is that they are time gating and FOMOing the rewards. Do they look cool? Yes. Will I want them? Yes. Will I enjoy doing it? No, because I know what they're doing and it makes my stomach turn. It's predatory. Yeah, I share a very similar opinion with the use of time gating. I share a very similar opinion. They have at least softened the blow for me by letting you actually gear up to theoretically max item level, even in phase 1, if you do want to play the game a lot, which was 50% of the argument for me against the phasing. But locking half of the rewards behind the phasing as well, and not allowing you to save enough bronze to, you know, prepare. What if the things that you want are all in phase 3. What are you doing for the first 4 weeks if the things that you need and the things that you want don't unlock for till phase 3? It's just an odd choice. Did you lose internet during yesterday's stream? Well, my Borderlands 4 was absolutely ruining my my PC. My graphics card clearly crashed or did something because OBS completely died on me. And then trying to reload into OBS, it just wasn't having any of it. I had to reset my PC and all sorts of stuff. So I've decided I'm just going to play Borderlands 4 off stream because it's very intense on the PC, especially whilst also streaming it. And there's the problem that it's not very well optimized right now. And to be brutally honest, significantly less people are interested in it. So I don't think I'm, you know, it's a game I will comfortably play off stream. I don't think I want Enchanted Broom. Nor do I want an Enchanted Rock Feather. But I'm taking it easy right now anyway. I'm streaming a little bit less. I've taking it a little bit more relaxed in the run up to alpha. Mostly because this is the time to do it, right? This is the time to take it chill, play another couple of games if needs be. It's going to get very busy very quickly when we have a remix, alpha, beta, housing, pre-patch, expansion launch, everything else that comes along with it. It's going to be a very busy 6 months or so. I don't mind taking it a little bit more chill right now. Just saw a thumbnail for that. It says Borderlands 4 is optimized. Just use DLSS. Well, the CEO came out and said some stupid things. Basically spitting in the face of arguably the most valuable of a customer, which is mental. Telling people to stop trying to play games in 4K if their hardware can't support it, which it's one of those things that you can think to yourself, and there's nothing wrong thinking it to yourself, but being the CEO of a company and tweeting it out is actually mental source. Wonder if a 5090 would do the trick. Still thinking on getting one. Well, I got a 5080 earlier in the year, and I've not regretted it for a single minute. 5090, on the other hand, is another level because obviously it's twice the price. Now the problem is a 5090 is not only twice the price for the card, it's twice the price to run the damn thing. You know, what 5080 can chug back 350 watts of power. You know, 5090 is chugging back 600 watts of power full tilt. You also then need the rest of the hardware to go with it. Not necessarily totally needed, but You're not getting 60 FPS without DLSS. It's not optimized. The fact that the focus is on 30 FPS for consoles and 60 FPS for like recommended settings. But if you are struggling to get 60 FPS with a top end current generation graphics card, something's not right. Even in 4K. Just wait for the 5080 Ti. They're probably going to do a 24 gig version of the 5080, yeah. Whether they call it 5080 Ti or 5080 Super or something, I don't know, but people laughed at me because of the wattage on my GTX 480. Yeah. What? You mean your graphics card is using 100 watts of power? Get out of here. Borderlands 4 is for the elite players with top PCs or something like that. I mean, that's just bananas of a thing to say, isn't it? Like I said, it's one of those things that you can, you know, you can think it to yourself, but you don't publicly spit in the face of everybody. PC gaming is already expensive enough as it is from a hardware point of view. To turn around to the people that have willingly spent quite literally thousands on their rig to tell them that it's their fault that the game doesn't run properly is a little out of touch, isn't it, really? Digital Foundry podcast, they compared its performance to what you would expect from a path traced game without actually offering path tracing. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like extreme levels of like what was the Indiana Jones game that came out quite recently that requires ray tracing to even run the damn thing. If you turn path tracing on in that, yeah, it looks beautiful, but your FPS goes in the bin. And this is the ridiculous thing. Borderlands 4 doesn't particularly have fantastically spicy reflections or lighting or any of these things that usually just nuke a graphics card's performance. So something there is really wrong. I don't know what it is, but something looks really wrong. But that, like, when you look at the ceiling or the skybox, or you look at the floor, your FPS like doubles. So they're definitely, I guess they're rendering far too much of the game world in one go or something. And it's just tanking the FPS performance. I'm not sure. It looks good, but not good enough to explain why you're getting sub 60 FPS on the 5090. Yep. I mean, when I'm not streaming, I can get 60 FPS on very high in 4K. That's not ultra settings. That's very high. Very high, 4K, 60 FPS on a 5080. Sure, you could bump the settings up if you drop the resolution down. I could drop down to 1440p and probably play it on ultra. But the point still stands is that it's a good looking game, but it's not the best looking game you've ever seen, right? There's not huge amounts of like extra levels of beauty to it. It's very flat, but it's actual by design. It's a very flat, neutral kind of cartoony design. There's no reason it should be this graphically intense. This is ironically the benefit of console gaming. The dev is building for the same hardware that you're actually using and not using dual 5090s expecting you to be using the same. Yeah. Apparently though, it plays like dog shit on a PS5 Pro as well. People were saying that it's not even maintaining solid frame rates on a PS5 Pro. And that after a couple of hours, the console is just like 120 degrees. So like I said, something in their graphics engine is completely busted. They'll fix it, you know. And then they'll come out and deny all knowledge of there ever being a problem. It was optimized for release date, yeah. Yes, this game must launch on this day in whatever playable form. Read somewhere that half of the render time is being spent on the nanite pass, so they're doing something terribly bad there. I don't know what a nanite pass would be. I'll trust you. Starfield days. It does feel a little bit like that, yeah. It does feel a little bit deja vu with from Starfield. That was a disappointing 80 euros or whatever it was. Oh, no, I didn't buy it, did I? It was on Game Pass. That means it didn't actually cost me anything. This is the problem with Borderlands 4. It did cost me $70. Which is why I will play it. A Direhorn hatchling. Cheap, but it's not crazy cheap. Add it to the pile. Male armor that I don't have the appearance for. Even if I vendor it, it's a win. The hell? Unique? I'm not going near unique stuff. Crafted. Did I empty the mailbox on these characters? No. Ooh, 50k. What do we sell? Fire Blessed Greatsword of the Fever Flare. There is no fucking way I've sold 2 of those across 2 different servers. Well, that's interesting. No, what? I've sold 2 Fire Blessed Greatswords across 2 servers. Does that mean somebody... What? Take it. Crazy things do happen. Was it hyphenated? We sold one ear for 50k. Where did we sell the other one? Sold one ear for 120k. And then one for 50k. To be fair, the price on these has gone ridiculous. Arguably, me selling it at 50k was the cheapest in the region. But oh yeah, I was selling it cheaper than Russian Realm level cheap. But hey, I'd take 2 sales, especially since we already calculated that I didn't pay that much for either of them. It's just very odd how the same piece of very rare transmog I sold it twice. Lightning does strike twice, apparently. Nanite is a novelty in UE5. It manages the micro detail in geometry according to the distance to the camera. Oh, okay. So it does something clever, but probably quite intensive. And if half of the render time is being used on that one thing, then it's probably something fishy there. Wait, the sword is for an achievement? Honor our ancestors. Half of me wishes they'd kept the requirement to make the crafted belt rather than handing this in this item. At least before you just had gathered mats, now this achievement is completely at the mercy of EA, you lucking out and looting a world drop, or somebody else looting it and bothering to list it on the auction house. Oh. Oh. Well, that's why it's expensive then. Khan wants the Fire Blessed Greatsword, whereas previously it wanted a crafted Primal Molten Great Belt. Just an FYI, it can be any Fire Blessed Greatsword, meaning it can have a title. It doesn't need to just be this. 11 days ago. Okay, well that's why I'm selling them then. Interesting. And is never more than a 1% drop from like basically rare dudes. Can also come from Cerebrite lockboxes. Interesting. Talking with a dev friend of mine, a big part of this performance meltdown is because people are working with UE5 like it was UE4. They haven't adopted its workflow yet. Okay. Devs being stuck in their ways and doing certain things a certain way and then not utilizing the new strengths of the engine, I guess. I imagine that's what sets you apart as a dev then, doesn't it? AI gaming studios will take advantage. I don't know. Yeah, the problem is sometimes the solutions to these problems require creative solutions. Something that AI is not. It can regurgitate like an absolute monster. It can't create anything. Sorry, Golson, I know you like your AI stuff, but I'm still very skeptical that it's just a marketing buzz phase at the moment. It's being very heavily promoted, it's being very heavily talked about, it's being very heavily pushed because it's also an opportunity for some people to make a lot of money. Doesn't mean I think what they're peddling is actually any good. Some of it's clever, but it's far from intelligent. Speaking of AI, SSD prices will likely go up since they can't get enough mechanical drives. Is this a thing now? Is storage becoming... Is storage going to be at a premium again? That said, SSDs or solid state drives doesn't really seem to have taken any technological leaps or bounds for a few years now. It feels whilst we seem to be getting 20 terabyte HDDs like all over the place, I don't think I've seen, apart from, you know, very like the very high end, what are they, like Kioxia? I don't know how you pronounce that brand name, but you can get some very high end SSDs in big storage capacities, but on the consumer level, 8 terabytes seems to be the max you can do. And yeah, that's it. Anything past 2 to 4 terabytes seems ludicrous. I've got a 2 terabyte SSD in my computer and I've had it for a few years. But it doesn't seem to have... I'm so used to having a PC component and then 2 years later you can get double for the same price. Or you can buy the same for half price. SSD tech doesn't seem to have gone anywhere at any point in the last few years. Not that I'm keeping my eyes that widely open for it, but ghost iron staff, that's got to be crafted, hasn't it? No chance that's not crafted. That sounds like Mr. Pandaria crafted. Oh, okay. I do resell those quite frequently. Kind of limited by the interface for speed, and for space, larger SSDs just get really expensive. Yeah, I've never even considered anything higher than 2 terabytes, and even 2 terabytes when I bought it, I think I felt like I paid a bit over the odds for. But that was because I just wanted one. Hard drives are also stuck. I'd like huge ones to have a backup of my content, but they keep the prices up for anything over 6 gigabytes. Oh, okay. Not like 20 terabytes are really affordable, because at the point you need one, you probably actually want 2 or 3. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. If you need the higher capacity in the first place, you're probably not after one, are you? Hadn't thought about it that way. Prior to that, the cost of storage plummeted, like, hugely over 10 years. We did see, yeah, we did see... In the consumer market, at least... It took a while for us to go from 500 gig to 2 terabytes being affordable. But it probably did that in the space of about 5 years. But that's because I felt that, you know, M.2 SSDs were being developed and were going through their normal tech cycle. It does seem to have stagnated a bit recently. Then again, a lot of computer tech feels like it's stagnated. It doesn't feel like processors are getting really any faster. It doesn't really feel like graphics cards are getting any better. Storage space seems to have sort of, you know, as we've just been speaking of, just kind of stagnated a bit. computer tech in general seems to have stagnated. Apple are doing interesting things with their own silicon these days. They're the only company that seems to be seeing any performance gains. Yeah, there's not those generational jumps anymore. It's kind of inching its way forward, not jumping forward. Stupid AI tech's getting in the way, isn't it? That's the problem. Hang on, let's empty the mailboxes first. Sell here. Grizzly jerkin of the Fire Flash. Sure. Nothing but beef. Nothing but beef. Nothing big in the last 5 years in phones. Foldable screens. That's just, yeah, that's more, yeah. Screen tech has definitely taken some leaps in the last decade for sure. Mass adoption of OLED is definitely here now. And it surprises me because I remember when Sony released the first like commercial grade OLED TV. Oh, now this will test my memory. KDL ZX1? I think I worked for Sony at the time. Was it the ZX1? Oh, I need to Google this now. Sony KDL ZX1? I think. Don't do it in flipping Finnish, you donkey. "40-inch Sony Bravia LCD with Edge LED." No. Okay, that was their Edge LED one. What was their first? It was about this same sort of time. They did a mini. It was about 14 inches, but it was OLED. Okay, the ZX1 was the. I wonder if they got images of this. For the first LED TV, this thing was like mind-blowingly thin. Yeah, here we go, look. This was mind-bogglingly thin for back in the day. That wasn't what I was thinking of, though. They did a small little, basically photo frame sized OLED. And it's literally since then, you know, OLED tech has taken off since. Outland tailoring recipe. Somebody deliberately posting it for like a fraction of region price. Dragon Arm cooking recipe. I bought one for 1,500 gold. I don't need more of them at 5,000 gold. It's half price. Also, I think you might be slightly blinded. I don't know. It's a lot less impressive to say I have 32 core CPU versus 2 gigahertz to 4 gigahertz clock speed. Yeah, maybe. Maybe, I guess. Multi-core has... Multi-core is definitely seeing improvements. Yeah, that's actually true. Credit to Samsung marketing team for coming up with QLED, where the tail of the Q is so small it looks like OLED. Yeah, yeah. I've not been shy about my feelings about Samsung as a brand. They are... I've always believed Samsung produce mid-tier hardware with top-tier advertising. Samsung is more of an advertising company these days than they are a technology firm. I'm convinced of it. They do an outrageous job of marketing their products. Their products are never more than average. And over the years, I have never once been impressed by build quality of any product that has a Samsung badge on it. Their cheap stuff is cheap, though, which makes it useful. Like the small screen TV market is basically dominated by Samsung for one very simple reason. They use 26 to 40-inch TVs as a way to burn a bunch of money in order to get the brand out there, so that when that person decides to buy a bigger TV, they strongly consider Samsung, only by the fact that they've had smaller TVs from them before. They played the long game with their marketing. We'll basically give something away now, is the theory that they went with. We will give something away now, so when you actually want to come back and buy something bigger and spend a bunch of money, you come to me first, is the Samsung approach to marketing. Nearly all of their smaller, cheaper products are like loss leaders, and they just strangle the rest of the market from people. It's very clever. It's very clever. Bigger TVs equals bigger ads. Yeah. These days, going from 12 core to 32 core just feels kind of meh. Most people can't really grasp it. But you looked at a CPU and went, wait, I get 2 of these in the same package? Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Laws of big numbers, isn't it? The bigger the number, the less impactful the jumps feel. Big puppy in the big bed. Let me see if I can show you the small puppy without waking her up. She's wrapped herself around the leg of the sofa. I'm not sure how comfortable that is, but she seems to be. Well, she's using the rug as a pillow, I guess. She seems happy. She's huge now. She is growing quite quickly. She is definitely growing quite quickly. I wouldn't go as far as to say she's huge, but she's probably doubled in size since we got her a few weeks ago. I don't really see it because I spend 12 hours plus a day with this dog. But every time we see anybody else on a more periodic basis, they're like, oh, hasn't she grown? Do you live in a house or apartment? A house is the easiest way to describe it. Where I am now is what I call the studio. It's a fully fledged studio apartment, but it's above our garage. So we have a 2-floor garage. The garage is underneath me. This wall behind me is a silo that has wood pellets in. Because our house, all our central heating is done by wood pellets. So this building is for the central heating and the garage downstairs. And upstairs is this area. And then the garden and then the house. So yeah, I basically live in the woodshed. Slightly more fancy woodshed. But because both me and Mrs. Manthias work from home, I have the ability to be here and make noise and do stuff whenever I need to. And Mrs. Manthias can do her meetings and do her work stuff in the house and do what she needs to. So yeah. Basically the man cave, yeah. I just think the man cave phrase is very cliche these days. No spicy sales on these servers. I can't ask for much more today, though. We've had probably 500,000 of sales today. Which is getting closer to where we need it to be. To call it the doghouse. It does feel like that sometimes. It's so funny though. This area like heats up. I don't. The heating doesn't need to be, even in the winter. The heating doesn't need to be on in here at all. Me, 3 dogs, and my computer heats this place up beautifully. I struggle to keep this place cool. The main house, on the other hand, though, is a challenge to keep warm in the winter. Been using Samsung for pretty much 30 years. All my phones are Samsung monitors as well. The last one I had served me for 20 years before the power supply unit in it died. But everything was made better 20 years ago. Absolutely everything was made better 20 years ago. And phones are manufactured to have a shelf life anyway. They can get away with it in some markets. But like Samsung laptops, Samsung TVs, this sort of stuff, like I've never been impressed with. Never been impressed with. Like I said, I'm not knocking it if you like it. It's a choice of opinion, but Samsung doesn't get any of my money. Unless it is something really just cheap and being purchased to be disposable. That seems pretty cheap. Or does it seem pretty cheap? It's not that cheap, is it? But oh, somebody's selling some recipes on the cheap. We'll have these. Don't sell a huge amount of these recipes, but when you buy them for only 75 gold, it really doesn't matter. 80 different servers I can spread them out on. Titan Shield War. Titan Steel Shield War. This is crafted, but that has to be cheaper than what it costs to make the damn thing, surely. 300 gold. There's about 6 Titan Steel bars in that. That has to be cheaper than what it costs to make the damn thing. Nightshade Sproutling. Sure. Not paying 50k for tuxedo pants. Somebody's done a right number on these, you know. Do you think I can flip them, though? It's annoying, that. It's annoying because I reckon I can flip those. Damn, maybe I am paying 50k for tuxedo pants. Ouch. I have some sales history selling those, so I do know they do actually sell. Got some Samsung aircon units, not as good as Mitsubishi. That's basically the Samsung tagline. Like I said, their products are always mid-tier. They're not the worst, but they're also not the best. They're just average products. Sometimes you just need something that's just average. There will always be better, but better might also come with a higher price. And you can always buy cheaper, but you know it'll be disposable. For LG for white goods, I think overall, considering they're both Korean companies, I think LG is far superior. Considering they compete in very similar markets. LG doesn't do anywhere near as good of a job with the marketing, but I genuinely think the overall quality of their products is one step above. They make up for their lack of marketing in the fact that their actual product is a little bit better. But if the fact that they compete side by side with Samsung, and Samsung are just absolute fucking wizards at marketing, means for most things Samsung come out ahead. Everything has a shelf life though these days. This is the thing. Planned obsolescence is true. It's definitely a thing. No technology now. In fact, not even technology. Not a single product out there is built with it lasting in mind. Because making a product last too long reduces the chance they'll buy another one from you. Is the harsh reality of that one. Tiny shell spider, hydrath droplet, grasping malfestation, few cheap pets. Nothing on that realm. Nothing on that realm. 5k. Scrap coil and grip. Ah, that's a current tier piece of gear. Probably some random looted piece of gear. Wait, hang on. Did that mailbox even finish emptying it? Right, I'm going to let the sniper scan real quick. And unless anything super juicy, Spectral Tiger for 10 gold comes up, I'll leave it being for 5 minutes. I'll be back in 2. Righty. Oh my god, what's going on this realm? We'll get to that in a minute. Shelly. These are cheaper. Can be flipped. Bloodwake breastplate. Not only have I already bought 3 of these. Well, now I've bought another one. Flipping out. What have we got going on here? Flameheart vest. Too cheap to figure out. Grey booties. Can't believe I'm gonna. Somebody is clearly. Somebody's cleaning out their transmog collection. Sketis bow. Not a fan of those. Snarl thorn helms. Don't know anything about that one. Seems seems like that's one sale in history. Summoner's wand. Nobody cares about wands. Oblit bouncing. What a name. Somebody's cleaning out their transmog collection. So I guess I will take it off their hands. Staff of Jordan. Oh my god. How many of those things exist? All one guy. fiery war axes times 1,000,000 as well. People are really cleaning out. One guy posting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One person clearing out, clearly. I'll just shuffle these about different places. Actually, if we've got to Dentag, that means there's not many realms left still to check. Tower Mill and Dentag are close to the end of my list. Or, well, close to the top of the list. Technically, I work from the bottom up. Right, let's see if we have any luck on these dudes. kind of happy with the sales we've had today, though. Couple of big sales. It must have been 500,000 gold of sales today. All of which are, or at least the big ones, have been high margin sales as well. We're not doing like 10% profit flips here. These are 10x profit flips. What's this? 12,500 gold. A taff. It's another pet, isn't it? Nothing but beef on the other ones. Nothing but beef. Uh, 500 golds and 500 rep for handing in a checklist. Unless there's some double bubble bonus experience or something, but 500 by default. Yeah, 500. Ooh, I got lots of churn belly tea recipes apparently. I don't think I need any more of those then. Didn't know you could sell those ones. BFA Philosopher's Stones. Well, Chet wants me to collect 5 battle pets, and I don't want to do it. You do occasionally just get a dead one. I do kill rares. Either of the delves I'll do. Dumpsters are easy because you can just spam click the same dumpster 25 times. Dig sites is easy. Driving around picking up the turbo cans is easy. If you're lucky, you can complete most checklists, but there is occasionally ones that are just like, ah, damn. Write that one off. Come back next week. You think we'll ever be able to send mail between factions and server clusters? The Warband Bank is the same thing, but with extra steps. Probably not. Probably not because we have the Warband Bank. Blizzard often shows themselves to create a solution to a problem. They very rarely seem to create multiple solutions to the same problem. Also, why I am not convinced really anymore that they're going to change the auction house much. I know we've got materials, commodities, that sort of stuff on the region wide, but I'm not really that convinced any longer that they're going to merge everything. I think their development of the war band system and the war bank kind of also solved that problem for them. That merging everything into one big mega auction house was probably too much like hard work. And so, considering they clearly wanted to do something for alt friendliness reasons anyway, I think they've killed 2 birds with 1 stone. But it does lead me to think that they're probably not going to develop the other systems any further. Not short term anyway. I mean, never say never. Look how much the game changes over a period of like 5 to 10 years, but certainly not anytime soon. The only thing I do hope they do is they open up the Warbank access to multiple accounts. That would absolutely make my day. They never felt the need to do it for pets, though. The limitation of you only being able to access your pet journal on one account is never something that they felt the need to, quote unquote, fix. So I'm not hopeful that they're ever going to give Warbank access, much like a guild bank, to anybody, but it'd probably be 6 of one, half a dozen of another, because if they did, it would probably also make the Warbank much slower, much like the guild bank, so because they'd probably just have to copy and paste the same tech that they use for the guild banks and consider it a public space. Don't know how this dude's got a Mechanica. He's basically lived out here his entire life. Does basically no farm. I don't know how he's got a Mechanica. This team doesn't kill any rares. Pets is deliberate though, because otherwise you could just cheese it and battle yourself. Yeah, I guess maybe. Wallback's debatable, and there's the issue of item or gold duping. Those are both... Yeah, I mean, the guild bank has solved that problem. Fun fact, I got a 3-day ban for win trading pet battles between my 2 battle nets back in the day. Oh, that's funny. Imagine getting a ban for win trading pet battles. Dear Lord. I'm paying 1,000 gold for transmog. Oh my god. Alright, ignore those then. Crafted. A lot of cheap shit on the go, but it's all crafted. Lamplighter though on the other hand. We'll have that. One at 5k. There's another one. And there's another one. These are one of those ones that the item level matters. Or whether it's mythic or something matters. I don't know enough about that market. And I say this every time. I should probably just learn. Fuzzy green lounge cushion. Kang the Decapitator. Got meme value, that one. It's not quite dirge level, but it's close. Okay, which Bountiful Delves you guys have got today? I did one earlier. I can't remember which one I did. I think it was the Dread Pit, but don't quote me on that. We've got the Waterworks. Archival Assault. And I'm missing one. Skittering Breach. The 3 I can see on the map. The 4th one I can't remember. I did it earlier, but I was pre-coffee. I wasn't paying attention. I just did it for my weekly map. And got nothing. Yeah, no fungal, unfortunately, no. No fungal. God, that coffee didn't do anything for me today. Oh, boo. Boo. No sales. Can't boo too hard, though. Been a reasonably good day for sales. Relative to the amount of stock that we have and whatever. We can blame the weather. I'm sleepy too. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. It's definitely lunchtime, though. All the more so for the fact that I've been up since 7 and it's now 1:30 in the afternoon. It's definitely lunchtime. Suddenly autumn. It really is. All of a sudden the leaves are falling off the trees and it's cold and it's wet. It really is. Where's that sort of like crisp, dry, a bit of sun but a bit of chilliness kind of autumn? That's the acceptable level of autumn. Also missing a dog. Oh, I think she's under the... like a paw under the sofa. A peanut. It's not super cheap, but yoink. I'm more willing to spend slightly more on pets because I don't see them as anywhere near as much of a risky investment as I do transmog items. I fully expect with most transmog items that I buy that I might never resell it. Whereas pets, not only do pets track with the in-game inflation pretty well, which actually is actually been relatively controlled over the last couple of years. I mean, flipping, we've had 400k tokens in the EU for years at this point now. I don't know if I'm just so normalized to a 400k token, but it seems like we've had 400k tokens just forever, which is a strong indication that the rotation of gold in the game is almost, dare I say, balanced. Bought 2 of these already for 15k a piece. I wonder if this is something that we can spread the love on this. I don't think I want to buy another one for 15k a piece, do I? Having already bought 2. Auspicious robe. No sales data, at least on this count. We've had some... sure, why not? In for a penny. You don't learn your lesson on the first 2. Clearly you haven't learned hard enough. Aha! Then we are all the way to the top again. All the way to the top. I occasionally buy things on these 4 characters, but these are my thaumaturgy dudes, so they don't really post or sell too much. That's not their job. Their job is to stand here and look pretty and do alchemy stuff. That doesn't mean that these realms can't have bargains on. Every realm has the chance of a bargain. uncanny gear. That's a flashback. Wormhole generators. These are also crafted, so we'll leave those alone. Especially with the amount of people tinkering with old professions right now. Nothing going on there. That's a bargain. And nothing going on there. Alrighty, put those ones to bed. I really need to fix my TSM profile for Draenor. I just can't be bothered because I'm only selling out small quantities of like bonus random mats here and there. So surprised to see Augment Runes still at like, I mean, I wouldn't say holding strong, but like 1200 gold is still pretty surprising for an Augment Rune at this point in the expansion. With a Hermit one available for 100k. Most of these little oddities in my bags are either from leveling up the professions recently or just like resource procs and patron orders and stuff. It never really amounts to much. Historically, I've just thrown all of this in the guild bank, but now that we're getting towards the end of the expansion, might as well sell it while it's worth something. Always buy it back again in the future if we need it. That's my theory at least anyway. 10 gold tinder boxes though. Flip here now. Right, there we go. Bunch of that up on the auction house. Some of that will sell, some of that won't sell. It's all good. Bank character's got 2.5 million on him all of a sudden. Where's that come from? Don't know. Don't ask questions. Bank character's only meant to have 1 million gold on him. Don't know. Right, boys and girls, I'm gonna leave it there. I've already mentioned I'm hungry. I need to go get me some food. I'm probably going to play some Borderlands this evening, so I probably won't bother throwing the stream up for that. I will play Borderlands, I think, off stream. Take it as a way to chill, enjoy another little game for a while. We're waiting for alpha, really. I'm not gonna lie. I'm at the I kind of sign in my in my calendar where I sort of semi try and chunk out what we're gonna do and when we're gonna do it. I had September chalked up to alpha season, because of course almost a month to the day ago, we had the midnight announcement. And I was convinced that within a couple of weeks we'd get the alpha. It's now nearly a calendar month. Gamescom was the 19th of August, wasn't it? It's now the 17th of September. So we're almost a month since the initial announcement. And in Ian's few short weeks before an alpha goes live, it's definitely run, I think. So we're in the bit of an alpha waiting room. I'd be happy to see a new builder remix though, maybe to potentially poke around in. But otherwise, we're just kind of keeping things ticking over. And I'm deliberately trying to keep it a bit chill because, like I said, the next 6 months is likely to be very busy with all of the housing and remix and alpha betas and stuff. So, yeah, I'm going to go get me some food. I might play a bit of Borderlands this afternoon, relax a little bit. Either way, I'll see you boys and girls tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy your goal making. Hope your vaults are juicy. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.